So I hope the slides are visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last lecture, we were discussing about the junction capacitance or depletion capacitance, right? And we had commented that the depletion capacitance or the junction capacitance that is dominant in the reverse bias mode. So since in the reverse bias mode it can be controlled, okay? Otherwise in the forward bias mode, since this width becomes very small, so this becomes almost infinite for small forward biases. So that is why we say that the junction capacitance or depletion capacitance, so that is dominant in the or useful in the reverse bias region of operation of the PN junction diode. Now this calculation of junction capacitance, so this is for PN junction where both sides are lightly doped. So for example, let us say that we have a PN junction where P side is heavily doped, right? We have a P plus N junction where P side is heavily doped, that is the acceptor concentration on the P side, doping concentration, so that is greater than the donor doping concentration on the N side. So maybe in fact we can draw also here a PN junction where the P side is heavily doped, right? So let us say the P side is heavily doped. So when P side is heavily doped, so that obviously means that the depletion region on P side will be small, will be thin, right? And the depletion region will extend into the N side since it is lightly doped, right? So the overall transition region width or depletion region width, so that is dominated by the depletion region on the N side. So this is for a P plus N junction, okay, where the acceptor impurity concentration on the P side is greater than the donor concentration on the N side. Okay. So one can modify it. One would say that since Na is very large, then this Nd, so one can modify this relation, and this junction capacitance for a P plus N junction, so this now becomes equal to this much, right? So it is modified, same previous one. So this one is modified now, and the junction capacitance for P plus N junction, that is heavily doped P side and lightly doped N side, so that becomes equal to this. Okay. Now the total diode capacitance, so that is equal to the total diode capacitance, so that is equal to the sum of depletion capacitance, that is junction capacitance, which is appearing here, plus the diffusion capacitance, right? So diffusion capacitance we haven't talked about. So far we have only discussed the depletion capacitance or junction capacitance. So this junction capacitance is or depletion region capacitance is because of the charges which are present at the junction, or depletion charges which are present at the junction. Okay. Now let us talk about the diffusion capacitance also. Right? Since diffusion capacitance and the depletion capacitance, they are appearing in parallel, so that is why they add up. So the total diode capacitance is equal to depletion capacitance plus diffusion capacitance. Now let us talk about this diffusion capacitance. Now this diffusion capacitance, the source of this diffusion capacitance is actually these minority carriers which are injected in the N-type region and the P-type region. So when the diode is forward biased, we understood when the diode is forward biased, the holes will diffuse from P to N and the electrons will diffuse from N to P. Or we say that there will be a injection of minority carriers in the N side. So this is N side and this is P side. So there is a injection of minority carriers which are holes. So these are holes in N side. Similarly, injection of minority carriers which is electrons in P side. The shaded region corresponds to, we have discussed that this is the minority carriers in the N side, which is holes, and the minority carriers on the P side, which is actually electrons. So this we had seen, and we had also calculated. I mean, this is what we had some time back done. I can show you. I'll go back and I'll show you where we had calculated the minority carrier concentration here. Right. So we had studied this earlier. So I have simply copied this and brought it here for understanding the diffusion capacitance. So these two charges also we had calculated. That is the minority carrier charges on both the sides of the junction. And if these minority carrier charges, if they can be divided by the carrier lifetime, so this will give me the current due to the minority carriers, which is holes. Similarly, if I divide the minority carrier charges, that is N on the P side, by their carrier lifetime, one can find out the current due to electrons. Okay. Or in fact, one can write that the total charges, that is QP, so that is equal to IP or IP times tau P. IP times tau P. Now these minority carrier charges, that is injection of minority carrier, so this depends upon the applied forward bias. So if you increase the forward bias, so obviously the minority carrier injection will increase on both the sides, right? So if the forward bias is increased, let us say forward bias is increased. Now for this increased bias, I have increased minority carrier injection. So further, if it is increased, I have further increased minority carrier injection. Okay. Similarly, on this side, increase in minority carrier injection. Again, increase in minority carrier injection if I increase the forward bias. Okay. So increase the forward bias, these charges also increase. Okay. And we remember the definition of capacitance, that is increment in charge with respect to an increment in bias. So here also we are seeing that when we are increasing the forward bias across this junction, right? So when we are increasing this forward bias across this junction, the charges, the minority carrier charges, so they are also increasing. Right? So these charges are also increasing when I am increasing the forward bias. So this actually leads to a capacitance. So this capacitance is called the diffusion capacitance. Right? That is, increase in the diode voltage or the bias increases the minority carrier injection. Okay? So this gives, or this leads to a capacitance effect, and this capacitance is called diffusion capacitance. Diffusion capacitance. Yeah, correct. So this is called diffusion capacitance. Okay? So earlier we had studied the junction capacitance or depletion capacitance. Here, this one we had studied. So this was again we said that the charges at the junction, so they were increasing. That is these two charges. So they depend upon the amount of reverse bias. So you increase the reverse bias, these charges also increase. So that is why we had a capacitance effect here also. That is, the amount of reverse bias, if you increase, the charges also increase. Right? That is dq by dv. So this is true. So capacitance appears at the junction because of these charges present at the junction. So that was for depletion charges or depletion capacitance. Now the same can be applied here for finding out the diffusion capacitance. That is, you apply the forward bias, and an increase in forward bias results in increase in minority carrier charges on both the sides. So this leads to an effect which is called diffusion capacitance. Right? Now this diffusion capacitance can be calculated by these charges, obviously. So one has to, if one can divide these charges or take a derivative of this charge here, that is take a derivative of this charge with respect to the applied bias. I can take a derivative of this charge with respect to the applied bias. So this will give me the diffusion capacitance, C diffusion. So I can find out by simply taking a derivative of this charge with respect to the applied bias. So this will give me the diffusion capacitance from one side. Okay. Similarly, the diffusion capacitance from this side can be calculated. Okay. And the total diffusion capacitance will be equal to the diffusion capacitance from this side plus the diffusion capacitance from this side. Okay. Now let us try to find out this diffusion capacitance. So I'll erase everything. So before that, before finding out this diffusion capacitance, let us once again write this relation. So this relation we had found some time back. I'll go back and show you where we had found this relation. That is PP by PN is equal to NN by NP here. So this relation. So we had some time back found out this relation, that is PP by Pn is Nn by Np. This is equal to e to the power QV naught by KT. So where PP is equilibrium hole concentration on the P side. Right. Similarly, this is Pn is equilibrium hole concentration on the N side. Nn is equilibrium hole concentration in the N side. Similarly, Np is equilibrium electron concentration on the P side, and this is equilibrium electron concentration on the N side. So this relation we once again write here. So I've simply just copied this relation in the calculation of diffusion capacitance. Right. So I have simply copied this. Okay. Now this PP. Okay. So this is holes in P type. So this is obviously majority. We are talking about majority carriers, which is hole in P type, and this PN, this is the minority carrier, that is hole in N type. Right. So this PP and PN, so this they can be written from here. So PP means hole in P type, that is majority carrier, hole in P type. Okay. So one can write that P minus XP, that is in this region, 0 to XP. Right. So one can write P minus XP divided by P XN. So XN, since we are talking about holes in N type, which is minority carriers, which are present from 0 to XN. X is equal to 0 to XN. So one can write this relation and this relation with when a forward bias is applied, that is VD. Right. So we had this relation was in only equilibrium. V naught is appearing over here. So when you apply a forward bias, this V naught, that is built-in potential, this decreases by this much amount, that is V naught minus VD. Okay. Now one can divide these two equations. Okay. That is divide this equation by this equation. Okay. And when you divide this equation by this equation, you arrive at this equation. Okay. So where again we have utilized we have utilized this equation also here. So how do we get this equation? So this is same, that is P minus XP by P of XN, and let us say PXN. So PXN, so PXN can be found from here. Right. So this PXN, so this can be found from here, and this PXN, so this is equal to PN plus delta PN, or let us say PN0. So since we are talking about equilibrium concentration of holes in N-type region, so that can be represented by either PN or PN0. So here it is represented by PN0 or PN, one can write, right? So PXN is PN0 plus delta PN. Okay. Similarly, P minus XP, that is from here. So P minus XP can be written as equilibrium hole concentration in P type plus excess hole concentration in P type. So which is equal to e to the power V naught minus Vd by Vt, okay? And which is also equal to, since this Pp by Pn is equal to Nn by Np, okay? So Nn by Np can be written from here, that is Nxp. So Nxp is Np plus delta Np. Np plus delta Np, that is this one, Nxp. Okay? And similarly, one can write out Nn also, Nn minus Xn. Okay? So we have one more relation over here, this relation. Okay? Now we make another assumption, that is, let us say when there is low level of injection, that is obviously when the bias is increased, that is the forward bias is increased across the junction. Let us make an assumption that the majority carrier concentration profile does not changes much. Okay. So when forward bias is applied across the junction, then minority carrier injection obviously changes with forward bias, but let us assume that the change in majority carrier concentration, so that is negligible. That is, majority carrier concentration due to applied forward bias is negligible. So this is an assumption we are making, that is majority carrier concentration due to applied forward bias is negligible. That is majority carrier concentration, that is holes in p-type and electrons in n-type. So the concentration of holes in p-type, that is pp, majority carrier, and electrons in n-type, that is nn. So this does not changes with applied bias, but yes, the minority carrier concentration, that changes. Okay. So that is one assumption we are making. So if we assume this, then that means that the holes in p-type, that is majority carrier concentration, so that is equal to equilibrium carrier concentration of holes in p-type, okay, or which is equal to the acceptor impurity concentration in p-type, right? So if we are assuming that majority carrier concentration, that is pp, is not changing with applied bias, okay, so that means that this p minus xp, that is holes in p-type, so that should be equal to equilibrium carrier concentration of holes in p-type, okay? Or this should be equal to the acceptor carrier concentration in p-type, right? Because p-type material is made by doping the material with acceptor impurities. So this assumption we make, and from the division of these two equations, dividing these two equations and using this assumption, we arrive at this relation. Okay. So we arrive at this relation. Okay. Now in this relation, in fact, we can write Pxn, right? So Pxn can be written as, so that is equal to Pn0 multiplied by e to the power Vd by Vt, right? So Pxn is Pn0 e to the power Vd by Vt. Okay. And this Pxn can be found from here. So from here, one can find out Pxn. In fact, one can find out delta Pn, that is excess minority carrier in n-type region. So delta Pn will be equal to Pxn minus Pn, right? So delta Pn is equal to, from here, Pxn minus Pn. So that is what we have written here. Delta Pn is equal to Pxn minus Pn. Pn or Pn0. So both represents equilibrium value of holes in n-type. Okay. So delta Pn, from here, delta Pn is Pxn minus Pn. So same we have written, delta Pn is equal to Pxn minus Pn. Okay. Now Pxn, so that can be replaced by Pn0 multiplied by e to the power Vd by Vt, right? So Pn0 e to the power Vd by Vt. Okay. So Pxn is replaced by this Pn0 e to the power Vd by Vt, and then we had Pn0 also here. So this becomes, we take Pn0 common. So Pn0 e to the power Vd by Vt minus 1. This becomes. Okay. So this is delta Pn. So why we are calculating this delta Pn? So we are calculating this delta Pn because in our this equation, the minority carrier concentration, that is charges, that is p-type charge on the inside, so that is actually having a contribution from delta Pn. So this is delta Pn here, That is QP by tau P is equal to QALP delta PN by tau P. So that is why we require delta PN over here. Right? So let us find out QP, okay, by using this delta PN. So QP can be written as IP tau P or ID, since IP and IN both are same. So we can write QP as ID tau P. QP is ID tau P. Okay. QP is ID tau P, which is equal to QALP delta PN. That is QALP delta PN. And delta PN one can write from here PN0 e to the power Vd by Vt minus 1. Okay. And we also assume that Vd is much larger than Vt. So if Vd is much larger than Vt, then you'll only have here Pn e to the power Vd by Vt. Because this Pn e to the power Vd by Vt will be much greater than Pn not here. So this minus 1 effect will be not seen over here when Vd is much greater than Vt. So we found now the total charges on the N side. That is minority carrier charge on the N side is found. Now, due to this charge, we said that we have to take a derivative of this Q with respect to the applied forward bias. So if we take a derivative of this QP with the forward bias, okay. So if we take a derivative of this, we can find out the capacitance C due to minority carrier injection on the N side. Will become QALP PN0 e to the power Vd by Vt divided by Vt. Okay, so if you take a derivative of this and say that e to the power Vd by Vt is x, okay, and then the derivative x, so T by due QP by dVd, that is equal to the capacitance due to the minority carrier which is holes on the N side. So that becomes equal to this much. Okay. So which is what I have written over here. Or in fact maybe here, since now this term is ID tau P. Right? So it is already mentioned over here. So this term is ID tau P. So this can be replaced by ID tau P. So you have now the capacitance C due to holes is ID tau P by Vt. Right? So that is what is written over here. That is equal to ID tau P by Vt. Now similarly, the diffusion capacitance due to electrons on the P side, so that can be found. So that will be somewhere on ID tau N by Vt. And then you add both these contributions of diffusion capacitance and you get the total diffusion capacitance. That is diffusion capacitance as a contribution from the stored holes on N side and also due to the stored electrons on the P side. So we had calculated only for this side. The capacitance contribution from this side also has to come, and total capacitance will be equal to the sum of these two capacitance. Now, apart from finding out these capacitances from the minority carrier injection charges on both the sides, we also need to specify that at which terminals the stored charges are extracted. So since these charges are present, as minority carriers in the N side and in the P side, okay. Now these charges have to be extracted at the leads which are connected to P and N sides. Okay. So this has to be extracted via the leads which are connected to the P side and N sides. Okay. So if they can be collected Okay, these charges, if they are collected at these leads, then only there will be some diffusion capacitance. If they cannot be collected at these leads, okay, that is, if they cannot be extracted at these two leads, then there will be no diffusion capacitance. Okay. So there can be no diffusion capacitance, that is, diffusion capacitance can be zero if these charges, they are not collected at the leads, these two leads. Okay. So they can be zero only in one case, when the length of N and P region. So these are much larger than the diffusion lengths. Okay. That is, if the N region, length of this N region, so this is larger, much larger than the diffusion length of the holes, then all holes will recombine in this region itself. None of the holes will reach here. Okay. Similarly, if the length of this P region, that is this length, right? So that is this length, if the length of this region, that is this length, if this is larger than, much larger than the diffusion length of electrons, since electrons are over here. Okay. So if this length is much larger than the diffusion length of electrons, then none of these electrons can reach the leads here, because all of these electrons will recombine with the holes, majority carriers. So there will be no diffusion capacitance or zero diffusion capacitance. So that is why it is said that for long diodes whose dimensions are larger than diffusion lengths, there is no diffusion capacitance. That is, diffusion capacitance is zero for long diodes. But most of the diodes are short, so there exists some diffusion capacitance, except for laser diodes, which are very long, where the diffusion capacitance is zero. For all other diodes, they are considered short and they have some diffusion capacitance. Now let us come back again to the junction capacitance, that is depletion capacitance. And while reading the depletion capacitance, we commented that the depletion capacitance, so this depends upon the applied reverse bias, right? The amount of applied reverse bias. So this actually decides the depletion capacitance. Okay, because with increase in reverse bias, the width also increases and the depletion capacitance reduces. So we said that since this depletion capacitance can be controlled by a reverse bias, or a voltage variable capacitance effect can be seen in a reverse bias PN junction, right? Go back again to the same picture over here, that is, a voltage variable capacitance effect can be seen due to depletion capacitance changes with reverse bias, right? So this voltage variable capacitance is also called varactor effect, or the diodes which are used for voltage variable capacitance, that is, the diodes which are used as voltage variable capacitances in reverse bias mode. So these diodes are called varactor diodes. And the application of varactor diode could be, that is, a set of varactor diodes can be used in the tuning stage of radio receiver. So in the tuning stage of the radio receiver, we have a big bulky variable plate capacitor which is used for tuning, okay, in the radio receiver. So this bulky variable plate capacitor can be replaced by a small varactor diode, because varactor diode will also provide the same effect, that is voltage variable capacitance effect, which is already there in the tuning stage of radio receiver, which is provided by a bulky variable capacitor. But this varactor diode. Okay. So the benefit would be that the size of the resulting circuit would be greatly reduced. So small circuits or small chips can be fabricated, or small receivers can be, radio receivers can be created. Okay. So this is one of the benefits, that is, small or the size of the resulting circuit can be greatly reduced. Now there are some other applications as well of the varactor diodes, and the other applications could be that they could be used in harmonic generation, microwave frequency multiplication, and also they can be used in active filters. Now for a PN junction, we have calculated the junction capacitance or depletion capacitance. We have calculated, and we found that the junction capacitance can be related to the applied bias by this relation. Okay. And this is for the abrupt junction. So we have calculated for abrupt junction. So we understand that there are two types of junction, abrupt junction and linearly graded junction. So we had talked about this earlier. So far what we have calculated is for a abrupt junction, where the capacitance varies as the square root of the reverse bias. That is, junction capacitance varies as the square root of the reverse bias. However, in a graded junction, that is maybe in a linearly graded junction, you will find that junction capacitance varies by this relation. That is, junction capacitance is proportional to VR to the power minus n, where the reverse bias voltage, so this is much greater than the built-in potential. Now this n, so this is normally 1/3 for a linearly graded junction. So exponent n is normally 1/3 for a linearly graded junction. So we see here that there is a sensitivity mismatch, that is, sensitivity of this is greater than the sensitivity of this, that is, that junction capacitance changes, the change in junction capacitance with applied reverse bias, which is called sensitivity. So there are differences between the sensitivity of these two junctions, that is abrupt junction and graded junction. Now this sensitivity mismatch can be reduced if this n can be increased. So this n can be, of course, increased in linearly graded junction by some fabrication techniques. This n can be increased, and this n can be greater than 1/2. Okay. In the linearly graded junction, the n can be greater than 1/2, and if n is greater than 1/2, then such kind of junctions are called hyper abrupt junctions. Now coming on to another important concept here, and this is that the current or the conductivity. So this depends upon the semiconductor material band gap. Okay. So for example, here in these four cases, A, B, C, D, the band gap of material A is smaller than the band gap of material B, and material B's band gap is smaller than C, and material C's smaller band gap is smaller than material D. Okay. And we see here the IV characteristics for these four materials A, B, C, D, okay, where the band gap variations are there. Okay. So the band gap is smallest here in this case A, and largest in this case. Okay. Now the effect of this band gap is that for large band gaps you need to apply more forward bias to see the current or conduction. So for example, here for a small band gap, the current can be seen at this point, maybe somewhere at 0.5 volts. One can see the current increases abruptly. But for larger band gap materials, the current is seen when forward bias is increased to maybe somewhere around 1.7 volts. Okay. Okay. So obviously, this 1.7 volts. So this may be the built-in potential. So when the applied bias, surpasses the built-in potential, or when the applied bias is greater than the built-in potential, then only the current can be seen in the diode. So which can be also related to the energy band diagram. So in the energy band diagram, this is my barrier over here, QV naught, or V naught is the built-in potential. Now this barrier can be reduced when you apply a forward bias. So when you apply a forward bias, this barrier is reduced, that is the bands become flat. So when a forward bias is applied, that is VF is my forward bias, for example. So this energy band barrier, so this can be reduced or the bands can be made flat. So when the applied forward bias is equal to or greater than V naught, that is the barrier potential, then the bands become flat and you see the current, that is diffusion starts from P to N and N to P. Diffusion starts and the current increases abruptly. Now this built-in potential, this depends upon the band gap of the material that is being used. So if the band gap of the material is small, the built-in potential will be small. Band gap of the material is large, the built-in potential will be large. So that is the amount of forward bias required will be large to cause the current or conduction. Now these four cases corresponds to germanium, which has a band gap of 0.7 electron volts. So this is for germanium, which has a band gap of 0.7 electron volts. Then second one, B, so this is for silicon, which has a band gap of 1.1 eV. Similarly, C, third one is for gallium arsenide, which has a band gap of 1.4 eV. And the fourth one, this is for gallium arsenide phosphide, which has a band gap of 1.9 electron volts. So obviously that means the band gap actually decides the contact potential or barrier potential. And effect of contact potential or band gap is that you need to apply more forward bias to make these bands flat so that the diffusion can start from P to N and N to P, and so that you see current or conduction in the diode. So effect of contact potential on current is what we have understood. Now let us also talk about another important concept here. In fact, so far we have only studied the PN junctions, right? So far we have only discussed the PN junctions, that is the junction between two semiconductors of different types, two semiconductors of different conductivity, that is we have studied PN junctions only. Now this junction can also be created, a diode can also be created if you contact a metal with semiconductor, which is called metal semiconductor junction. And the diode which is formed by a contact between metal and semiconductor, so this type of diode is called Schottky diode. So this type of diode is called Schottky diode or metal semiconductor diode. Now what is special in Schottky diode, or what is this Schottky barrier? So in fact in Schottky diodes or metal semiconductor junction, so this problem of Schottky barrier or a barrier is created. So how this barrier is created, let us try to understand what is Schottky barrier. So let us say that we try to contact a metal with a semiconductor. Now a metal, the energy band diagram of a metal can be represented by simply a Fermi level. In fact, we understand that in metal, the conduction band and valence band, they overlap each other. So conduction band and valence band overlap each other. So the energy band diagram of metal is simply represented by its Fermi level, EFM, that is Fermi level of metal. Now below this Fermi level, all the states are occupied by electrons. And above this, it is empty. There is no electrons, right? So below this, all states are occupied with electrons in a metal. Now, another important thing to notice over here is that the work function of the metal, so that is greater than the work function of the semiconductor here. So what is work function of the metal? So phi m here represents work function of metal, and phi s represents work function of the semiconductor. And semiconductor that we have chosen is n type. So what is work function? Work function is the minimum energy required by a carrier in the material to escape the material. So that means if a carrier or an electron in this material, if it achieves an energy which is equal to the work function of this material, then that carrier or electron will escape that material and it can reach the vacuum energy level, or what we call as E vacuum, right? So this is the vacuum energy level, this one is the vacuum energy level, right? So work function is the amount of energy that a carrier can achieve, and if it achieves this energy equal to the work function energy, then it can escape the material and can reach the vacuum energy levels. So we have now considered, in a Schottky contact, we have considered that work function of the metal is greater than the work function of the semiconductor. Okay? So work function is the energy difference between the Fermi energy and the vacuum energy level. That is phi m, or the work function is given by E vacuum, the energy of vacuum level, minus Fermi level. So that is why we see here that this is my work function energy, that is Q phi m, which is difference between vacuum energy level and Fermi level. Similarly, work function of the semiconductor, work function energy is equal to vacuum energy level is this, and Fermi level of my n-type semiconductor is here. So the difference here, that is gap here in between. So this is my work function energy, Q phi s, it is represented. Right. Now another parameter here is called electron affinity, X. Right. So X is called electron affinity, right? Affinity, AFFINITY, electron affinity or a carrier affinity, right? So this X is called electron affinity, and this electron affinity is the difference between the conduction band and the vacuum level, that is E vacuum minus E conduction band energy level. So this gives me electron affinity, okay? Electron affinity energy, right? So these two things are new to us, right? Electron affinity and the work function, right? So work function is difference between the Fermi level and the vacuum energy level for both metal and semiconductor, and electron affinity is the gap between the vacuum level and the conduction band. Now, having all this information, now let us try to contact these two materials, that is metal and semiconductor. Okay? So when these metal and semiconductor are contacted, or any two material are contacted together, Fermi level alignment happens. Okay? That is, the carrier transport from both sides starts, so that the Fermi level is aligned. Okay? Now here in this case, you will notice that the average energy of the electron, so that is greater than the average energy of electron in the metal side. Okay? That is, an average energy of the electron in the semiconductor side is greater than the average energy of electron in the metal side. So because of which the electrons will start diffusing from the material N to the metal side. So electrons will start diffusing, that is, electrons will start diffusing from N to the metal side, okay? Because of this energy difference, that is, the average energy of the electron on N side is greater than the average energy of electron on the metal side. So because of which electron will start moving from N side to the metal side. So when electrons move from N side to the metal side, then they leave behind themselves donor ions. and now these electrons are since they have moved here in the metal side. So on the metal side you will see negative charges appearing on the metal side near the junction. Or one can relate this to another thing, that is, we say that when negative charges are brought near the metal surface, positive image charges are induced in the metal. Or when positive charges are brought near the metal surface, negative image charges are induced on the metal side. So that way also it could be understood. So now we have two different charges on both sides of the junction, and we also have a depletion region on the N side, right? So this is important to note, that we have depletion region also created on the N side. Okay. Now because of this charge transport, the Fermi level will be aligned. Okay. Fermi level will be constant at the equilibrium, and since we notice here that there, this side we have positive charges and this side we have negative charges, so the effect of this positive and negative charges would be, that is, the energy bands on this side, so they will be pushed down, and energy bands on this side, metal side, will be pulled up because negative charges are appearing over here. So the energy bands in the N type, so they bend like this. So energy bands, they bend like this. Okay. Now because of this energy band bending, we see here a barrier. Okay, so this is my barrier now, which is created at the junction. And this barrier, energy barrier, is equal to Q phi m minus phi s. That is the difference between the metal work function and the semiconductor work function. So this is my energy barrier, or the potential which is appearing at the junction, that is electrostatic potential V naught. This is equal to phi m minus phi s, equal to the work function difference between the metal and semiconductor. Now because of this barrier, energy barrier, electrons from N side, so they will stop moving to the P side, so to the metal side, because of this barrier. So which is called Schottky barrier. So electrons see a barrier, so they cannot move now from N to metal side because a barrier exists over here. Similarly, I have a barrier here from metal side to the semiconductor side. That is, electrons from metal side, they cannot move to the N side because they see this much barrier. So what is that barrier? That is Q phi m minus Qx. That is the difference between the metal work function and the semiconductor electron affinity. So this much barrier is on the metal side and this much barrier on the semiconductor side, and we don't want this barrier. I mean, this barrier is undesirable. We don't want this to happen. Right? Why we don't want this barrier? So let us again consider one example why we don't want this barrier. So let us say that our PN junction, this is my PN junction. Now this PN junction has to be connected to some power supply. Okay. So for connecting a power supply, I need to establish an electrode over here. Not working. So I need to deposit some metal to contact. Similarly, some metal I have to deposit to contact this side to the battery terminal. Okay. Maybe let us say forward bias. Okay. So I have to deposit metal on this side also and metal on this side also. Okay. So why we deposit metal on both sides? So that this P and N region can be connected to the battery terminals. Okay. Now this metal is now in touch with the semiconductor on both sides. So I have a metal semiconductor junction formed over here. Now because of this metal semiconductor junction, I'll have a barrier at this point also and this point also. So this barrier means that I'll have to apply now a bias greater than this barrier. Then only the conduction can happen. Similarly, a barrier greater than, one barrier is over here also. So a bias greater than this barrier potential I have to apply. then only the conduction can begin. And then also we have a separate energy barrier which is existing because of this PN junction V0. Okay. That is now total bias that is required for this PN junction to conduct would be equal to, I mean, that should be greater than V0 plus the barrier potential which is appearing here because of Schottky contact. So earlier we had only discussed that we require only a bias greater than V0 because we didn't consider the contact to this P and N side. So now we comment that if this contact is creating a Schottky barrier of this kind, then the total forward bias required for this device to conduct would be equal to V0, that is the electrostatic potential of this junction, plus the barrier potential which is appearing here because of the Schottky contact. So that is actually a waste of power, right? So that is why we don't want a Schottky barrier, right? So instead of Schottky contacts, we want another type of contacts which are called ohmic contacts. We don't want Schottky contacts, but we want ohmic contacts which have no resistance over here. That is no barrier. This barrier is actually a resistance, right? So this ohmic contact, if I have a ohmic contact, I'll have no barrier of this kind. There is no resistance at this point. So it is desirable to have ohmic contacts and not Schottky contacts. So maybe I think I'll stop over here. And if you have any queries, then you can ask. Yeah, so if there are any queries, then you can ask.